Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the spoiler, and I say it again, spoiler review of the 37th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, you heard me right. 37 movies in this soap opera renowned as the MCU, and it's the first film in phase 6 of the MCU. This is the Fantastic Four: First Steps, starring Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Ebon Moss-Bachrach as The Thing, Ben Grimm, and Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. This is a film that is set in this 1960s style of a retro-futuristic world, completely different from the 1960s that we know, but similar in a way. In this world, the Fantastic Four must protect the planet from the world-devouring cosmic being known as Galactus. And I can't find the words to express how much I was anticipating this movie. I really, not so much that I'm just this giant Fantastic Four fan. You know, I read them in the comics, saw all the movies, unfortunately, and watched the animated show when it came out years ago. But I'm not oh man, Reed Richards, that's my guy. I'm not that. But I do enjoy this superhero team. And the reason I was anticipating this because I wanted to see Marvel's take on this team. You know, we got the Tim Story versions with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans and all them. We got that, but that was 20th Century Fox, and that Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, that I don't know what they were trying to do there, but we got those versions. But I wanted to see Marvel, the proper Marvel Studios, the MCU take on Marvel's first family. This is a big deal at Marvel. This team here messed this up, and Marvel is in trouble, man. They are in serious trouble if they can't nail the Fantastic Four. And so I was anticipating it for that reason. And just to clarify, not that I was cheering on to see their demise or anything like that. I had confidence that they were going to get this right. You know, they messed up Captain America, you know, with Brave New World. They messed up other properties that they did, rushing them out in these last couple of phases, and didn't give it a proper build. And it messed up the product. You know, people have kind of lost faith in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you needed something to jolt some life into this franchise, and especially that this is the last film that's going to lead us into Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So we need something to get us excited for that film. Will it be the Fantastic Four: First Steps? Once again, this is a spoiler review. I'm going to touch in on spoilers, not full spoil. I'm not going to go beat by beat and drop every Easter egg and every reference that was made in the film. But I am going to talk about some plot points that will travel on to future films in the MCU. So that's why this is a spoiler review. Well, starting off with my initial thoughts, my overall thoughts of this film. I liked it. I really did. I liked it a lot. I didn't quite love it, but I liked it a lot. This is probably one of the best Marvel films they've made in God knows how long. This felt like Marvel. This is Marvel firing on all cylinders with the cast and the action and the special effects and the jokes and all that. It all lands. For the most part in this movie. It's not doom and gloom. It's not a dark depiction of these characters. We got that with the Josh Trank Fantastic Four film that just killed that reboot in his tracks. But this is this is a upbeat, fun, bright film, and it does have dark undertones, story wise that we're going to get into. But this is a very fun movie. I felt that this movie really captured what we have grown to love in the MCU. Having a fun time, not sitting there being depressed by superheroes. Our superheroes going through the same mess that we're going through in life. I don't need to see my superheroes struggling to pay bills. That's not good. I struggle myself. I don't need to see my superheroes that I'm looking up to struggling with everyday life. I need some hope, and we haven't received a lot of hope from our superheroes as of late. And that's Marvel, DC, whatever. We just have not seen that as of late, and it's good to see that there's a brighter future ahead, or something that we can look upon and feel excitement, get a sense of escapism by watching it. So that alone made this film super exciting to watch. This film is directed by Matt Shakman, and he gave us WandaVision. He's the man behind that show, the first Disney Plus MCU show that we got during the pandemic. And I think that was universally received and loved for the most part. I haven't spoke to anybody who didn't like WandaVision. WandaVision was, and still is, in my humble opinion, the best thing that Marvel has done after Endgame. It's that good of a show. And I'm not saying that's the only thing that was good after Endgame. It was just the best thing, in my humble opinion, to come out. Marvel has had some big swings, and not all of them connected, obviously. But WandaVision, I believe, did on a universal front. And Matt Shakman, being the man behind this film, really got me fueled up. Like, okay, if we're going to get a Fantastic Four set in this alternate universe, in this retro-futuristic world where we saw similar tropes, in WandaVision, and he can kind of expand on and have a bigger canvas to paint on with this film, okay, sign me up. And man, he directed the piss out of this movie. He did an awesome job with this film. The film feels like a comic book coming to life, especially in the action sequences and stuff like that. It just felt like comic book panels put in motion, like a flip book or something. It was really, really good in that aspect. I loved it. Loved the look, the color scheme. Everything was great as far as the direction there. The screenplay, it was decent. It wasn't the greatest thing. Nothing that's gonna make you, no pun intended, scratch the brain, like Reed Richards would. But this is pretty cookie color of a screenplay. But when you have a basic paint by numbers screenplay, you have to rely on your performers and their performances. And my God, the performances here were amazing. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. No pun intended, but he was fantastic. I loved him in his role. And I do this every time Pedro Pascal is cast in anything, whether it's The Last of Us or The Mandalorian, whatever. I always question it, and I don't know why. At this point, you would think I would have learned my lesson, but I haven't. I'm just that dumb. I questioned when he was cast as Reed Richards. I just couldn't see it. It just didn't compute in my mind, him as Reed Richards. Even when the first trailer came out, and it was good. It was a good trailer, all this here. He looked good as Reed Richards and all this here. It still didn't quite get there with me, all the way up to me sitting in the theater and the movie is about to play. And I was like, this is going to, I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of nervous. But the movie begins, and voila, he is Reed Richards. There is no other Reed Richards that has nailed this character in live action form better than Pedro Pascal. And I know that's not a high bar that he had to clear, but I mean, he just blew everybody out the water. Whoever had portrayed Reed Richards in the past, I thought he did an excellent job as the de facto leader of this family. And I say de facto because the real leader of this family, at least the way this movie was set up, is Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm. She was the leader. This was her movie. She is the anchor point of this movie, and that is not a negative. Vanessa Kirby, from this performance, from this role, and she has been money and everything. I mean, she was in Hobbs and Shaw. She was in the Mission Impossible films and many other properties that she's been involved with. But this is a star-making role. This is a superstar-making role. Vanessa Kirby, excellent as Sue Storm. I mean, excellent. I don't blame them for shifting the focus on her character more than anybody else in this movie. Even though this is an ensemble film, she deserved to lead. She is the leader, and man, she put the weight of the world on her shoulders and carried it like it was nothing. She was amazing in the role of Sue Storm. Ebon Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm, the Thing. I thought he was good. Out of all the characters, at least our Fantastic Four, if you will, he was the one that kind of got shortchanged. You know, Johnny got a good role in here, but Ben Grimm was kind of shoved to the side a little bit. He had a part in this movie. He had a good role in this movie, and Ebon Moss-Bachrach did excellent as Ben Grimm. You can sense him underneath the CGI. It's not one of those, oh, he just did voiceover for it, you know. Like, for instance, his castmate, Pedro Pascal, in The Mandalorian. When you watch The Mandalorian, you know that's not Pedro Pascal under the helmet. He's just doing the voice. And you sense that from that show. Even though I enjoyed the show, I'm not knocking the show, but I'm just saying, you know he's just doing the voice. Here, as Ben Grimm, you can tell that Ebon Moss-Bachrach was on set. He was in the motion capture suit, and they just captured his performance. You know, I can see him underneath that CGI. You know, that's how good of a performance it was. He got lost in the sauce there, but it wasn't much there. I didn't like the fact that we don't get to see the struggle that Ben Grimm goes through in the comics and in other adaptations of this team, you know, live action wise. We didn't get to see him struggle. You know, the fact that he's this giant rock monster, you know, everybody else, yeah, they're mutated, but they're not physically deformed as he is. And we got to see it. We saw it in the comics. We saw it on the cartoon. We saw it in the other Fantastic Four films, but not here. We didn't get to see it here. He kind of accepted it, I guess. You know, it was like, whatever, you know, which is fine. It's fine that they went that way, but, you know, that character has a lot more depth to him, and we didn't get to experience it here. And I think that's why I feel he had gotten shortchanged in this film out of all the other characters. Johnny Storm outshined him or burnt him out, so to say. I'm trying to use these puns. Whatever. Anyway, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. Once again, great job by Joseph Quinn. We all know him from Stranger Things and A Quiet Place Day One and so on and so forth. Really good actor. Awesome actor. Surprised when he got cast as well in this role. I saw him as something bigger, you know, a different character in a comic book film, but he fit this role. And the reason I say something bigger, my wife said this when we was leaving the theater. She was like, he looks like Robert Downey Jr. He looks like his younger brother or something. He's really, and I didn't notice it until she said it. And when she said it, immediately I'm like, yeah, he do. He looks like a younger version of Robert Downey Jr. I don't know how they can use that or could have used that in the MCU. Like if they were going to recast or reboot Iron Man or something like that. Hey, let's get Joseph Quinn. He looks like Tony Stark, a younger version, so let's use him. It would have, I think that would have worked, but whatever. Him as Johnny Storm, it was good. He was really good. I like the change that they made. And I say change, but it is a change from the previous versions of this character on the big screen, showing his intelligence, showing that he isn't just a young hothead trying to get in some girl's pants, you know. He's just the comic relief or whatever, like Chris Evans was in those movies. No, they actually flushed him out a little bit more. He used his intelligence to the point where he did something Reed Richards couldn't do. He deciphered the language of the Silver Surfer, was able to figure out what the message was that was being sent through the cosmos, and he figured it out. He even learned the language, was able to communicate with the Silver Surfer because he learned it and talked to her and ultimately helped save the day by doing that. And but I'm like, man, Johnny, go ahead on, bro. He isn't just a flame guy that flies. He actually used his brain. I enjoyed that so much. I was impressed by that and appreciated that turn for that character. Speaking of the Silver Surfer, Julia Garner, who I'm a huge fan of ever since Ozark. Love her, man. Love her. Her as Shalabel as Silver Surfer. Mwah, great. It was great. And for all the people out there who still get mad talking about Silver Surfer is a man, Shalabel is from the comics, people. Pick up a comic book, man. Please. Please. It's so infuriating because I heard it when I went and saw the movie. I heard it when people were like, oh man, they changed it for, oh man, you know, that go woke, go broke crowd. Oh, they going woke, yeah, making Silver Surfer a woman. She's a woman. There are multiple Silver Surfers in the comic books. Maybe if you read a comic book, you would know that. But anyways, this is who we got, and I think this was the right choice for this film. Shalabel was great, man. Julia Garner was great. The action sequences when she was chasing down this Fantastic Four after they met up with Galactus the first time was whew, that was some excitement, man. The mere fact that the Fantastic Four was going through this wormhole or whatever at the speed of light, and she was able to keep up on the surfboard and catch them multiple times. It was like, man, she is a beast, and they really showed her showed how powerful she is in this movie. I greatly appreciate it. My knock on it, we didn't get enough of her, and I know this isn't the Silver Surfer movie, but I wanted to see more of her character, just a little bit, maybe just one scene. I'm not talking about half the movie, giving exposition on her backstory. I mean, just one little scene, kind of get into her motivations. But they did a good job. They did for the little time that they spent with her character. You knew where she was coming from. You knew what she was about. So it wasn't like they left anything on the table or left something open-ended that we had to figure out on our own. No, they did. You know, they did everything, I guess you could say, proper. It's just a personal preference. I wish we would have got a little bit more of it because I was enjoying her character. I was enjoying her performance, and selfishly, I wish I would have got a little bit more. Her boss in this movie, Galactus, played by Ralph how you pronounce his name? Ineson. Uh, oh, I was about to say he's the best depiction of Galactus in film, but that's stupid because technically this is first. I'm not counting that crap in Rise of the Silver Surfer. That wasn't even that was a cloud, so that doesn't even count. But man, what a job! And it's weird because he wasn't in it long. He wasn't in it for the majority of the movie. He was there to pose a threat. He was there to wreak havoc at the end, and he left. That was it. And that's all you can do with Galactus. There's nothing more to Galactus. He just devours planets. That's him. That's it. It's nothing else he could do. And so they used him just right. That was great. And when he was on the screen, bro, especially when he arrived to Earth, loved it. I loved him trampling through the city. The showdown with him and Sue. Once again, showing how powerful she is, able to push Galactus into a wormhole or a black hole, whatever it was that Reed cooked up for him. Bruh, that was powerful. That was a scene. I was getting teary-eyed. I'm like, man. I didn't realize Sue was that powerful. I know she's powerful, but I didn't know she was that powerful, and that was exciting to watch. But it came at a cost because she died, and it was heartbreaking. But me as a comic reader, I knew what was about to happen. There's no guessing here. Of course, this is a spoiler review, so it doesn't matter if I say it, but we know that they have a child in this movie, they being Reed and Sue. And that child is Franklin Richards. And if you read the comics, you know how powerful Franklin Richards is, or how important that character is in Marvel Comics. He is the most powerful being in Marvel Comics. Franklin Richards. The dude can create universes. He creates it. So him being there at the end, I knew that okay, he's gonna resurrect Sue. And that's what happened, So it didn't really surprise me what had happened at the end, but it was a powerful scene nonetheless. Other characters in this film or other performers in this film, they kind of got lost. I felt, and once again, I'm not trying to sit there and watch a 4-hour movie, but some of these characters I wish we could have got a little bit more from. Walter Hauser, who is amazing, man. That dude is, I don't know what it is about that dude, but I love him in whatever he's in. I mean, from Richard Jewell to a Cobra Kai to him popping up on wrestling. He's a wrestler too, but he's an actor. That TV show, was it a TV show or was it a movie? I can't remember. Him and Taron Egerton. I can't remember. It was on Apple TV Plus, but he was good in that. He just pops up in things, and I don't know, it's different. He has range out of this world. Well, he is Mold Man in this film, and I wanted more. I wanted more because Paul Walter Hauser is so funny. He's so good in everything that he does, and we only got a scene and a half of him, and I wanted to see much, much more of him and Mold Man. I'll touch in a little bit more on that character and how it plays in this film and how it plays with a lot of people who's going to watch this film in a little while. But yeah, I wish we would have got a little bit more of him, but he was great for the moments that we did get. Natasha Lyonne, she is in this film. I can't remember her character's name. I thought she was going to be Alicia Masters, but she's not. But she is kind of a love interest for Ben Grimm. I don't know if that character is from the comics or not. Really don't, but it's fine. It's fine. But in any event, I don't know why I don't know why she was in this movie. And Natasha Lyonne is once again awesome actress. Love Poker Face. Love that show. Loved her since but I'm a cheerleader back in the day, and American Pie, and Orange is the New Black, and all that. Everything she's been a part of, I loved her in. And this was kind of different for her. I almost didn't recognize her in this movie, but she was good. It was just that what is she there for? Ultimately at the end, she really served no purpose to the story. And so I don't understand why she was that character, not her, but that character was in this movie. If they were going to cut something, they could have cut her. They end up cutting John Malkovich. Yes, John Malkovich. He was the Red Ghost. I think that was his character's name, who controlled the apes. Now they had the apes in here, but they didn't have they didn't have John Malkovich. They cut him out of the movie. How do you cut John Malkovich, man? That dude's a national treasure. But whatever. It is what it is. Going back to the mole man of it all, and my wife said this when we was on our way home, and she was like, yeah, it just feels like they were ripping off the Incredibles. And I couldn't do nothing but laugh. And I'm like, I can understand that, because God bless her, my wife, love her to death. But she'd never read comics, She didn't read the comics and watch the movies previously, so she doesn't know about Fantastic Four. And I had to explain to her, like, baby, the Incredibles ripped off the Fantastic Four. That's why that's like that. It wasn't the other way around. But that also plays a part into this film. That it felt like they were trying their best not to be the Incredibles. They wanted to set themselves apart from that, but it's hard to do that, because The Incredibles is the greatest Fantastic Four film of all time. It is. That's all The Incredibles is. It's the Fantastic Four. You even got a little baby Jack in this movie. Everything is there. This movie tried so hard not to do it. I kind of felt that like, okay, we go this route. No, we can't do that. The Incredibles did that already. So let's go another way. It just reeked of that. Now, I'm not saying the filmmakers had that on their chalkboard or whatever, but it just felt like that to me. I guess me loving The Incredibles and knowing that film so hard, even the second one, and knowing that film was basically the Fantastic Four. I'm sitting there not comparing it, trying to draw comparisons between the two. It was just like, I see what you did there. See what you did there. But regardless, here's my thing. Here's the real spoiler part of this review that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, I weren't gonna go bit by bit with the review. It was just one part I wanted to talk about that is major spoilers for going forward in the MCU, and that is the mid-credit scene. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, and if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you listen to the spoiler review, but that's your choice. If you haven't seen it, don't worry about the second post-credit scene at the very end of the credits. You can leave after the first post-credit scene. It doesn't. That has no bearing on nothing, and all it did, it kind of pissed me off when I found. But that middle one, the first one, when it's 4 years later, and Sue Storm is reading a book to Franklin Richards, and they're in the Baxter building and whatnot. She goes to get another book, comes back, and she hears a noise, and looks behind the TV, and there's Dr. Doom with Franklin. And we don't see Robert Downey Jr., but all reports say, even Robert Downey Jr. himself said that was him, even though we don't see his face. But that was Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, his first appearance as Dr. Doom. I guess they're saving the reveal of his face until the movie, but anywho's, And that's it. Franklin's holding the metal mask, and that's it. It cuts off. That was it. And the rest of the credits roll. Here's my problem, and this has nothing to do with the movie. I'm pretty much finished with my review of the movie. This has to do with the MCU going forward. I'm not excited for Doomsday. They have done nothing to boost my excitement for that film. They haven't set anything up. Throwing Dr. Doom in the mid-credit scene of Fantastic Four where he links up with Franklin Richards does absolutely nothing for me. Now, for all of the geeks and nerds out there, like myself, who are sitting there yelling at their phones or TVs or tablets or however you're listening to this show, oh, Kevin, you don't know comics. Franklin Richards is going to play a big part, and I know that. I know what it sets up. I get that part of it. My problem is it's just thrown at us. It's thrown at nothing. There is no setup. And that was the problem with the DCEU. You know, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel and BBS and all this other stuff. They just threw stuff at us. That's why it crashed and burned. You know, they didn't set up the character. They didn't set up the films and led up to a Justice League movie like the first 3 phases of Marvel, where you got Iron Man, you got Thor, you got Captain America, and so on and so forth. And it led to the Avengers. You know, it's set up. We haven't been led into this Doomsday thing at no point. I know we had to pivot, and I say we like I work for Marvel, but I know we had Kang the Conqueror. That was the initial plan. It was going to be Kang, who is connected to the Fantastic Four. Franklin Richards is the ancestor, if you will, to Kang the Conqueror. So there's a connection there, but they had to pivot. Even though I felt they didn't have to pivot, but they pivoted from Kang. All right, fine. Now we went into this Doom thing, and it just thrown at us. Nothing else set up. Doom is not a threat. Do you realize in the comics that Doom is a Thanos level villain? Probably bigger than Thanos in the comics. Doom is nothing to play with, and we're just gonna get him for one movie, and that's that. There's no setup, there's no threat there, there's no reason why he is the way he is. I thought that the Fantastic Four first steps, we were going to be introduced, which we were, I guess, technically, but you know what I'm saying. We were going to get introduced to Victor Von Doom. We saw early on in the film at the Future Foundation when Sue Storm was talking to the leaders of the nations. We saw, what is it? Whatever his country name is, Lavaria or whatever. We saw that there was a reserved seat for him, but he wasn't there. It was an empty chair, but it was a good little Easter egg. Now, the end credit, we see the cloak, the green cloak, and the mask, and that's that. So we're going to go right into Doomsday, and it's this big thing now. It's like, okay, what's the thing? The reason I'm kind of boo-boo kitty about it all is the fact that what kind of movie is this going to be? Is this going to be like a 3.5, 4 hour long movie? You know, because you got a lot of explaining to do. Why are the Fantastic Four there? Well, that's another thing. We saw at the end of Thunderbolts, or the New Avengers, whichever one you want to call it, in the end credit scene, we saw that the Fantastic Four were coming to our universe, the main universe in the MCU. And that was the big, like, oh my God. You know, that was the big OMG moment that left us at the end of Thunderbolts. All right. We get to this movie, and there's nothing. there's no leaving the world. There's no reason for him to leave. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how we're going to get to this point in Doomsday where everybody's coming together. The old X-Men coming into this coming into this movie, and the other 50 other cast members they announced a few months back. I mean, how are we arriving to this point? That's my only problem. And for that reason, I'm not excited. I'm not excited for Doomsday. I'm sorry. But that's my rant. I'm done with my TED talk about that. It's just a little concerning. Now, is that going to stop me from going to see that movie? No. Will I be there opening night? Absolutely. But it's just not on my bucket list. I'm like, okay, now they can sway me leading up to the release of that film, with the promotional material and whatnot. But as it stands right now, I'm a little disappointed in that respect. But as far as the Fantastic Four First Steps, I'm giving that a letter grade of a B plus. I thought it was a very fun comic book movie that we desperately needed, and we just got one a couple of weeks ago in Superman. For all of the detractors who were kind of poo-pooing on Superman, you can't poo-poo on Superman and poo-poo on this movie, and not poo-poo on this movie, I should say, because they're the same tone. They're the exact same tone. It is fun. It is hopeful, and it's really good. It's truly a family film in more ways than one, and I completely enjoyed it. I would love to know your thoughts about the Fantastic Four First Steps. Did you like it? Did you think it was all right? Did you like the other adaptations of the Fantastic? I can't even say it with a straight face. Did you like the other ones more than this one? I would love to talk to you. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. That goes for YouTube as well. Like this video. I mean, smash that like button if you don't mind. And share this video after you subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of the Fantastic Four First Steps. I want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.